Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. We have another amazing show tonight, and the 20-year anniversary of 9/11 is this year. And I thought, what better way to commemorate it and not to celebrate, but to commemorate it because it's a very somber occasion, than to invite the three detectives that I responded to the Twin Towers that morning with. And I'm very proud to say I worked with these guys in the 2-3 detective squad. And here we are, all of us feeling very privileged that not only did we respond that day, but that we're still alive 20 years later. And I'd like to, I'm going to introduce them one by one. Just beneath me with the nice haircut is Zedekiah Jennings, who is a second grade detective now. And to his left is Billy Hicks, William Hicks, also a great detective that worked with me in the 2-3 squad and the Manhattan North Homicide Squad. And above the Ivan Putski looking guy is James Zarakis, a great detective also from the 2-3 squad. So folks, you know, if you like this show, please subscribe on YouTube. We're adding audience all the time. Just subscribe, hit the bell, and give us a thumbs up. You know, I just wanted to say to you guys, it's so great. I mean, it's a shame that we don't see each other in person, but it's so great to see every one of you. And I just wanted to just bring us back to that day. Well, it's not quite 20 years ago. It will be 20 years ago this September 11th. And Jimmy Zarakis, tell us, what were your feelings that morning? What were you actually doing that morning?
Well, hello, and it's great to be with you guys. I mean, you guys were tremendous to me, man, in my whole time there. But to get to the point was that morning we were the A team was working, and Billy was a 18 guy, and you were the boss that day. And Z was he was in the office that day also. And long story short, I got a call from my wife, Marissa, and you guys know who she is. And she's on the job. And long story short, she said, "Hey, did you hear anything about like some planes going in, a plane going into the one of the towers?" So I actually said it. I was in the office that day, and I mean, and I said, "Hey, I just heard, she just told me this." So anyway, we go into the back, a few of us. I don't remember exactly who it was, but we end up, we see a plane like in the towers, and they're not making a big deal out of it. It's like, we're all thinking that it's like a, some sort of bullshit plane that went into the tower. And then a short time later, it was like another 20 minutes later, I remember Billy Hicks, my brother, just below me, said another plane just went into the towers, into the other tower. And we were like, we're under attack. And next thing you know, we get a call to suit up, man. You're going downtown. And next thing you know, I mean, I remember going down into the precinct and hearing that the first tower went down. And then,
Jimmy, can I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes, sir.
My recollection was just as we left and got in the car, they had said that the first tower had just fallen down.
See, I remember it. You know what? We were waiting for Z. We were like, "Where the hell is he?" We're downstairs. We're all dressed up, in our, in the bag, and I remember hearing behind the, the precinct desk saying,
"Yeah, that's how I remember it too."
Down. Anyway, we're waiting for you, Z, and it's like I don't know if he was like plucking his eyebrows or shaving his hair or something. He was making himself pretty and stuff. Anyway, I know we all jump into a car, and we head downtown, and there's nobody on the road. Remember on the FDR?
Yeah, they had cleared off the FDR. Yeah.
I mean, you'd think that there was, yeah. I mean, and then we get down there, and I want to let other people speak. I mean, but
all right, Billy, Billy Hicks, why don't you tell us? Like, I just want to mention something that I said it before the show is that on the way down there, Billy Hicks had said to me, he says, Sarge, he goes, why don't we park at South and Pike? Because if we drive right down to the building, we'll never get out of there.
I remember.
And I said, you know something, Billy, that's a good idea. And I always thought that decision may have saved all of our lives. You know,
Yeah.
I really do. I really feel that way.
Yeah, I remember that.
Go ahead, Billy.
From what I remember, I'll go back the day before. I remember this like yesterday on the September 10th. I went by Jimmy's house to get a gun cleaning kit from him because I had to go to the range that night. And I remember this clear as a bell. He was sitting down watching the History Channel, and they were showing the bombing of Pearl Harbor. He was watching it, and I remember telling him, I'm glad nothing like that doesn't happen anymore. This is September 10th. The next day we go into work, and his wife calls, and I answer the phone, and she's kind of short with me. And she's never short with me. She's always like, how you doing? I remember handing the phone to Jimmy, and I remember him saying, what do you mean the World Trade Center blew up? Those are his exact words. So I remember walked back into the lunchroom. On the TV, one tower was burning, and we were like, oh, no big deal. Some idiot ran into the World Trade Center with a small plane. They'll fix it. We went back downstairs and started, doing the day's work. Then I hear Gladys yelling and cursing, the second building's on fire, the second building's on fire. And that's when I went up and they showed the plane hitting the second tower. And we waited to, we got dressed and waited for them to tell us where to go. And I remember going out the door to the parking lot, and I remember hearing Sergeant McLean yelling from their TV room on the first floor, the first tower fell, one of the towers fell. And I'm telling myself, what is he talking about? One of the towers fell.
Right.
And I remember getting in the FDR Drive, and like he said, there was no traffic, and people are walking up the side of the FDR Drive, and they're covered in, in ash and dirt. And I remember looking up, and I'm like, oh, shit, there's only one tower there. Where'd the other tower go? And then, we went and parked, and I suggested we park on Pike Street, not realizing the enormity of this, because I was like, yeah, if we park there, all these emergency vehicles are going to block us in, and we're never going to get out of there. That was my reason.
And now, but something that was, if that unintended, that was an amazing decision. That
if we'd have got down there 10 minutes earlier, who knows? We might not have been here now.
Now, do you remember the second time? This is my recollection. We're down there. Now, the second tower didn't go down, but it came down, and we heard this tremendous, collapse. And I remember
Chambers on Broadway.
I'm sorry?
We were at Chambers on Broadway, getting ready to muster up.
No, but the second, I thought it was when we were crossing Canal Street, I think, when it came down.
Yeah, the second building fell, I think, when we were right around maybe north of Pike Street. Because I remember, I don't know if you remember, they had
we were on foot.
We were on foot.
We walked. Yeah, we walked.
I remember that female, they had the female cop that remember the female cop that was on the radio saying that she couldn't find her way out of there?
Yeah.
And then the building fell. So we were actually walking toward the site when the second tower fell. That's how I remember.
I remember when the second tower came. I mean, the best of my recollection, and I remember looking at Billy Cannon, our host here, and I remember we looked at each other like, "Holy shit!" Because it was like, just it felt like a little bit of like an earthquake,
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, then after that, I mean, it was just unbelievable. There was really not much of a, there was no getting together. I mean, it seemed like everything was crazy. And remember, Bill, we went into and all of us. Remember, we went to that fucking. We went into that store because there was.
I remember that.
I know what you're gonna say to get the
don't say nothing
bandanas.
crazy.
The guy was like, he wanted to charge us. We needed masks. But
Right.
the place is full of smoke and, and
Yeah.
he wanted to charge us. And we're like,
Crazy price.
And I remember Cannon.
Cannon got
going
pissed
like, "Are
off.
you crazy?"
Cannon got pissed off. I remember.
I go, it's
You
World
know,
War
he had
III,
to-
and you want us to pay for these
Yeah,
bandanas?
he wanted like some exuberant price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still got that mask.
Yeah, I remember
Wow.
Cannon like, what are you
bandana.
kidding me?
What?
Yeah, I remember we went
Yeah,
next door.
we yelled at the guy. We yelled at him.
Yeah, and the guy, he wanted some crazy price for him. And Cannon was like, "What are you crazy?"
The world is falling down now, and
Yeah.
you're charging us. Everybody's going.
Yeah, I mean, we were in full uniform and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well,
But I was-
Z,
I'm sorry.
Z, what was your? Give us. We haven't spoken yet. Why don't you give us your recollection?
All I have to say that was a good decision that Hicks made, because I remember I'm the one who was saying, let's go all the way down by courts, down by the court section and park the car. And Hicks said, nah, you don't think that's a good idea. And that's when we pull over by Pike Street
Right.
and South Street by Patmark, had a Patmark there.
Right.
And when we got out of the car, I said, yo, this is a long walk. So we got out of the car and we like speed walk all the way down there. Like we was running, going down
I thought you wanted to take your canoe that was docked by the MTR drive.
No. But that was a good decision, Hicks. I gotta give it to you.
Yeah, well, like I said, I didn't realize the enormity of the situation until I really got down there and saw everything. That's when I was like, oh shit.
Guys, I'm just going to show. I'm going to just show a. I'm going to share the screen for a minute, and I'm going to show a quick video. I'm going to put it on our screen here.
I hope I live. It's coming down on me. Here it comes. I'm getting behind the car. It's incredible. Okay, I'm gonna have to go find people who need help, because I don't think I'm one of them. You okay, sir? Okay. Can I just get a toot off your respirator? Yeah. Can I get a toot? I'm just in a couple of clean breaths. That's good. Okay. Back to you. This is the car I hid behind. It saved my life. Oh, wait, maybe it was this one. There's all these noises. I don't know what it is. They say someone needs help.
Yeah, Mike! Mike! Mike, come over here! Yeah!
Anybody need a doctor?
Who are you?
Don't have oxygen.
Hello, Doc.
Hey, that guy needs some oxygen if someone can share it with him.
10-4.
Thanks.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you, Billy, man, I remember like walking through this stuff and looking at these cars and the destruction and it was like surreal. It really was.
Yeah, I remember this too. We couldn't see. It was just exactly how it was.
And that's
Right,
how
it
my
looked like it
face
was snowing
just like
there.
that. Yeah.
It looked like
I
it was
remember
snowing.
me and Hicks, like, like telling people to like, you got to go this way, and there's tons of
Small
people,
explosion still going on.
and it was unbelievable. I mean,
So far, it just seems that people who
I
needed
can't
oxygen.
believe that we experienced this. What a moment in history.
I remember my uniform was blue when we went down there. When we got in there, it was totally white. My face was
Yeah.
totally white. I remember taking water, chopper water on my face, and it started burning me.
Looking north on the
And
west
I
side.
think Canada said, just leave your face like that, because we didn't know what was in that all that powder.
Come with you.
Yeah. Remember all that?
You know,
When we got back to the precinct that night,
I don't want to
we
get
were
too much
covered
closer.
in that.
There's more buildings to come down.
Yeah.
We're not going to help anybody. All right. I think we should.
We was
I
down there
remember.
over
I don't
12
remember. It
hours.
was,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, we were down there a long time. Because I remember one of
Yeah.
us. I don't
We were
remember
there
who I
for
walked
14
with.
hours, Bill.
Because we at night we walked. At night we walked around, and I remember it looked like something out of a movie. I remember I see a mail truck crushed, windows blown in everywhere. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know, it looked like something out of an alien invasion movie or something.
You know what was amazing too? Like while we were responding down there, all we heard over the radio was bomb threats. Do you remember that?
Right.
People were calling in bomb threats. We're like, what? Why would you take a bomb threat serious now? This is the biggest bomb that ever went off. You know?
Yeah. I remember. You're right. I remember cops telling everybody, run, get out the way, and there might be a bomb there. But then it was.
But didn't you hear the rumors? Remember, like all these chiefs allegedly got killed, and then we heard about like the other planes that went into like
Pentagon.
the other location.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
And I mean, it was just crazy, man. It was.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah,
believe
that was a horrible day.
You know, one of the things I just wanted to mention, and I had always wished, like down the road, that I had a picture of us from that day.
Yeah.
But we all felt that it was disrespectful to take pictures. Remember?
Right.
And we wouldn't take any, nor would I ever take anything as a souvenir, because I just thought that.
What you're saying? I mean,
yeah,
that's a big that was a big deal. I mean,
right. And the thing was too.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, nobody knew really what to do when we were down there. All we did was stand around all day. Remember when we said, "Yeah, I guess."
Yeah.
It was like, we didn't. Other than Billy Cannon as our boss that day, we were just like, all right, like we're kind of on our own, man. I mean, there was no, supervision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess in a situation like that, who knows what to do? Nobody expected that. I guess now they'll have hands a little better if something like that happens again.
Well, you notice they have those protocols called National Incident Management System, but that took a long time to get into place. I remember days after this happened, there was a lot of criminals going down to Ground Zero.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the security in place. And you don't even think, like, what opportunist is going to come down here and try to commit crimes during this? And sure enough, they were down there, right?
Yeah. They find a way.
It's just incredible. You know, there was some of the pictures. Of course, this is Moira Smith, who was a huge hero that day. Yeah. She went in and out of the buildings to rescue people, and of course, we all know that that she lost her life that day.
Yeah.
And I actually knew her husband, Jimmy Smith, and he was a hell of a nice guy. And this was Jimmy Smith getting like the Medal of Honor from Mayor Giuliani, and the little girl's like 2 years old there.
Right.
So from what I understand right now, she's in college studying to be an athletic trainer right now.
Right.
And that was the picture of that. It's every touching, of course, to everybody. Do you guys remember this picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
It's another iconic picture from Ground Zero, that somehow the steel formed a cross, and people found tremendous comfort and meaning in that occurred.
Yeah.
And And then, of course, I remember this because we weren't too far from there.
I know.
We walked over to there and seeing the fire department rig. I guess that's a hook and ladder. I'm not too versed in fire department language, but when we looked at that, it almost looked like we were in a war zone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. It is a very, very moving. Ramblin' Rome, I never heard the PD side chat about it, only us FDI. Thank you for all you did then too. You know something? There were so many heroes that day, and a lot of us, we've gotten some illnesses in connection with 9/11. And I always go once a year to the Mount Sinai thing, and some of the sickest people down there were the steel workers.
Yeah.
Because they spent they spent 6 or 9 months down there. I mentioned this last night. And those guys were tremendous heroes, man. Tremendous. And they don't get
you
enough.
never got that site cleaned up
There
without
was a
them.
ton of civilian, heroes that went down there and they worked their ass off and they died for it. And it wasn't just the PD and the FD and EMS and the first responders. It was a lot of people, man.
A lot of volunteers.
Yeah. I forgot all about the steel workers.
Yeah, those guys were.
Yeah, they were right in the thick of things.
There's the poster of the 23 NYPD officers that lost their life that day.
Yeah.
In regards to that, you remember when we was running down? Walking, walking fast, going towards there, and then over the radio, you heard some of the cops screaming. You know what I mean? Coming over.
Yeah, well, some of them were screaming from under the pile. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so sad. You know what I mean? That even pump you up even more to try to get there, to try to help them out.
Yeah. I can remember that and looking at you guys like we're looking at each other going, this is on what? It was.
Yeah, that totally came from left field.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
It was always good, like when you did leave there and you saw people that you knew were down there, and you're so happy to see that people survived it. Because as I think you were talking about before, Jimmy, there was rumors that so many people had died that in fact hadn't, because the communication was so bad. Because the towers had the
antennas,
big antennas on them, right? So
yeah.
the communication was horrible, and there was police department has ridiculous rumors as it is.
Right.
So, with a situation like this, the rumors were just so running rampant that, everyone says, oh, the whole top echelon of the police department is gone.
Right.
They're dead.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes. And I remember none of us had
cell phone.
Thank you.
Right, except your cell phone was the only one that worked.
And Z's cell phone was the only one that was like working.
Yeah.
And
the flip flop.
God knows how that happened, but
I remember
that it did. But I remember we had no communication with
outside
as
world.
far as 2001 with the cell phone service back then. We were talking to each other,
right?
And just hearing PD communications, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Billy. I'm sorry.
I remember afterwards, like in the aftermath of that, the next week, 2-3 weeks, how everybody was nice to us.
Isn't that? Yeah, that was amazing. We were heroes.
We went in front of the 2-3. Everybody was clapping and holding up signs. I was like, usually you're cursing us out and throwing blocks off the roof at us.
That's right. A gentleman named Liam in the chat says, were you guys concerned about any possible threats on the ground, or were you so focused on helping people get out? We weren't concerned about that, but we got there a little bit too late to be going into the building. The buildings were on fire, and no one, by the time we got there, was going on top of that pile yet, because they were trying to put out the fires that were from the thousands of gallons of jet fuel was burning. And I think it burned for days, right?
Yeah. For months you could smell down by court. I went to court 5 months later, and I can still smell that stuff in the air.
Yep.
You could smell it all the way up by the 2-3 on East 102nd Street.
Yeah.
That whole thing, that cloud just traveled all the way up there, you know? Yeah, it was just incredible.
And if we had got down there in time, we'd have definitely been inside in there. We'd have definitely go in.
What saved us also was that we waited for MNDO to call us up.
Exactly.
The cars would run down there.
Because
we saw our uniforms and we sat, and MNDO called us and told us to go down. Down there.
Yeah, we folks in the that are listening. We waited for it's called Manhattan North Detective Operations. We waited for our orders to come down from Detective Borough Manhattan. Came down to Manhattan North, and they said all members of the service in the Detective Bureau, put your uniforms on and head down to Ground Zero. And luckily, you know, we had a lot of people in our office, in our squad. Some of them ran for their lives when those buildings came down. And OE, how about OE almost died, right?
Yeah, OE ran into the train station.
Yeah, Roger Perino hit under a truck or something, you know. Yeah. So a lot of people had these stories that we heard, and we were like, wow. You know, not that we didn't try to get down there quickly, but we waited for them to tell us what they wanted to do. And, you know, look, I feel very happy and very lucky that we survived that day.
Yeah, it wasn't our time. Wasn't our time that day.
You remember? I'm sorry, Billy. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead, Jim.
But remember, Building 7 went down when we were there also.
Right.
And I mean, you know, nobody really talks about that too much, but I remember that coming down and again, like an earthquake. And I forgot what precinct. I think we were in one of the precincts, and that's when that came down, and we were like, again, you know, looking at each other like the world is coming to an end. I mean, it was
that was a sad time. I remember all the people putting up the missing persons flyers. Have you seen the I guess their loved ones that got killed? And I spoke to some, waiting for them to bring victims in, and they weren't bringing nobody in because they were most of them were gone.
Yeah, we discussed that last night. How that they were all hospitals had doctors come in from all over the place, and then there was no one for them to
right
for them to work on because
they were ready for casualties, but nothing came. They were dead, and nobody was going anywhere, man. I mean, it was it was horrible when you think about it. I mean, when you live through that stuff, you know, we're cops and we're used to seeing horrible things. But this was, as far as during some of the World Trade Center, we'll talk about some of our other duties a little later, but I worked at the morgue a bunch of times. I wasn't assigned there. And I had seen, of course, my share of homicides working in the 2-3 and the Manhattan North, but I never saw bodies in the condition that they were in when they brought them into the morgue. Yeah, it was just something that I have never seen before or since, thank God.
Yeah, hopefully we won't see it again in our lifetime.
Liam, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Liam is he's trying to come on the job, and I think he's going to be coming on in October, and we wish him as great a career as all four of us had, you know.
Absolutely.
If you have that, you'll be a happy man, you know.
Yeah, we had a good time.
God bless, man.
Yeah, and something living through this. I always talk about how, imagine you were in the academy during this. They pulled that whole class out.
Yeah.
And imagine how shocking that was, because you were going from you were going to a squat move to down at the World Trade Center, you know?
Yeah.
It's just incomprehensible, you know?
Yeah, that was a rough day.
That's the word, incomprehensible.
And then after that, the days after that is the cleaning up and doing trying to identify bodies, so family could get closure.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back. If you guys have to hit the bathroom or get a drink, do it now, because
too.
it'll be about a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Okay.
Folks, if you're looking to move out of New York because of the high taxes and the craziness here, and you want to move down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Carol Waters is a realtor. She used to work in New York City at the Fitzpatrick Hotel for over 20 years as a bartender. Her and her husband now, Robin Mayen, they're both realtors down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. They're $1 million salespeople. So if you're looking for a condo, a house, give Carol Waters a call, 914-261-6681, or you can email her at carolwaterssellsmb@gmail.com. And that's in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Folks, if you're looking for a fantastic attorney, Joe Murray is a retired member of the service, retired police officer, and he's a fantastic attorney. You can give him a call at 646-838-1702, or he's got a email, Joe at his website, Joe at jmurray-law.com. A fantastic attorney. And folks, Police Coffee is an officer-owned business dedicated to crafting the finest coffees and blends to provide you with the freshest coffee available. Each batch is roasted fresh by people who know what it means to stay vigilant. And our specialty coffees do not waste one drop when flavor is concerned. Our coffee is some of the best you'll find, but also helps serve as an important cause, giving back to our community. 50% of the profits goes towards helping family members of police officers who fell in the line of duty. To order coffee and related products from policecoffee.com, go to the website. There are over 7 types of coffee to choose from. And again, 50% of the profits go to officers' families in need. For a 10% discount, use code OTC10. That's off the cuff 10. So again, the website is policecoffee.com. They're a fantastic company, and it's going for a good cause, a big chunk of their profits. I just wanted to touch upon, a lot of folks don't know all of the duties that we had to perform in regards to the World Trade Center. And one of the most horrible things that was very early on was a place called the Bereavement Center. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
I was actually called the Bereavement Center. And you, Billy, you want to tell the listeners what you had to do there?
I heard of it. I've never actually went to the bereavement center. So
Me too. Yeah, I didn't do it either.
Yeah.
Z, you didn't do it either?
no.
They were sending me to the morgue and to the landfill.
Fresh kill
Yeah.
or fish kill.
Okay, what the Bereavement Center was is people would come there whose family members were missing, and detectives would take their information and do an investigation as the potential. And the family was told to bring items that they could collect DNA off of. It was horrible.
Yeah.
So because you were meeting people who lost loved ones, and when you talk about all of us, have a touch of PTSD. Peter Pranzo, Harlem Raiders. Thank you, Lieutenant Pete. Lieutenant Pete says prayers for all those lost on 9/11 and first responders. Lieutenant Pete, thank you so much, buddy. You're a hero. Harlem Raiders Street Crime Unit. Lieutenant Pete's one of us. Big supporter of Police Off the Cuff. Yeah, so a duty, Ron. Yeah, they collected DNA from hairbrushes, toothbrushes, and then they would collect that DNA, put it in a database, and that would be compared against bodies and body parts that were recovered down zero at ground zero, and then brought to the morgue, where they would photograph it, X-ray it, and take DNA. And that's sometimes people would bury a little piece of bone, and that gave the family closure. That was one of the horrible jobs. Another horrible job, of course, as he mentioned it, was working at the morgue, because that was seeing actually even cops and firemen that were brought in there, which was, very tough to deal with.
Yes.
They would have a little ceremony when a cop was brought in or a fireman was brought in.
Right.
And it was very somber and very upsetting for all of us.
Yeah.
Well, remember the fresh kill, the Staten Island dump. I remember seeing when they brought the trucks, the destroyed trucks in, and we would be on an assembly line, and you would have to pick out. I mean, you guys know. I mean, Z
Yeah.
and Billy. I mean, you'd have to pick out things that you thought were, because it was a
Right.
crime scene, and so
Right, identification, people's wallets and stuff like that. We were on like that conveyor belt that came down.
I remember finding a finger.
Yeah.
And listen, I didn't freak out, but thinking about it now, it makes me more. It freaks
Well,
me out now.
you're reliving it, and it's
Yeah.
upsetting. It's very.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm gonna show a little. People don't understand what Fresh Kills was. I'm gonna show them a little piece of what Fresh Kills looked like.
Fresh Kills, for me, was an
I don't know where the audio went for this, but it just gives you an idea. It was where they let me just
I
remove
remember.
this. Where they removed all the let me just stop sharing this for 1 second, and I'll add it in a second.
Listen, that was
So
tremendous.
yeah, so Fresh Kill to me like remind you like when you look at a farm and they
reopened
bring in
5 of the 2,200 acres.
There you go. There's you can see it now.
In the beginning, there were people that wanted the name of the landfill changed. They thought it was a morbid thing, but a kill is Dutch for a river, and so the name was kept. Many of the objects were just from everyday life and very sort of neutral objects that couldn't be identified with a person. You'd see stuffed dolls. These were souvenirs from the gift shop.
I found a toy.
And one day we saw a cigar store Indian, a life-size carved Indian. It was very demolished but recognizable. We saw pieces of Rodin bronze. It was interesting when they found the Rodin bronzes, they found a torso bronze with the head and feet cut off, and right away they thought they had found human remains, and it turned out to be a bronze piece. We saw lampposts. One day we were there, and there was this enormous pile of lampposts from one of the surrounding streets, and fire hydrants that had come over. So the material would come over every day in a barge, depending on where they were cleaning up downtown. So they knew at Fresh Kills if this was from very deep or from some part of the trade center. So sometimes they could sort of expect what they were finding, or what they were going to find. The smallest sort of things we would see, they'd find keys, and they saved any key that was marked the World Trade Center. And I think we probably saw about 200 or so keys. Another sort of things that we would see as elevator signs, little sign markers on the floors of an elevator. They found 25 or 30 of these, which we were thrilled to see. When you think there was 99 elevators in each building and 110 floors, and they only found 25 of these little 3-inch signs, it wasn't very much. We were surprised when we got there, and it felt like a construction site. There was no one in uniform there. You didn't know who was who. FBI agents were dressed like the Senate, and everybody was moving around with this loud sound of bulldozers and backhoes and beeping. And at first, when I saw it, I thought they were moving mounds of dirt around with loaders. And what we were seeing was the ground remains of the World Trade Center, and it had a very organized sense to it. The material came in these buckets all together and put in one place, and then it was sorted. We saw nothing we could recognize in the fields. We expected to see chairs and file cabinets and what was left of offices. Everything was reduced to the finest state. It basically looked like mountains of dirt. There were hills of gray dirt, vast expanses of wire, twisted rebar, fields of steel, and the fields of vehicles. probably the thing I remember the most at Fresh Kills was the FBI evidence shed. This is where they would bring the buckets of material that they would sort and find human remains or personal property. So we'd go in this little shed that had no air ventilation, so it smelled terrible. It smelled like death, and there would be a bucket of human remains and a bucket of personal property, and then a bucket of other objects that maybe they hadn't identified yet. In the open fields, you'd see the white suits slowly with their heads down, picking through the rubble or the wire or the mass of material there, looking for human remains. The main objective was to find DNA. That was the main mission of this whole operation of sorting through 1.8 million tons, were to find the smallest piece of a human to identify for a family. That was the main point. And so we would see these agents and detectives in these sorting sheds working on conveyor belts where the material would come off the fields, and they would sort it, and then they would pick through this, and they were really loud sheds. They would call them sheds. They were open tents, and there would be 6 or 8 agents lined up along these conveyor belts with this ear-numbing sound of the machinery going, and these men and women would pick brown pieces off the conveyor belt. It was all one color. It was all like this brown-gray dirt. But they would see the shape of a bone or a human remain or something that recognized.
I think that the audience got the drift of what we were doing there, and it was one of the nastiest places to work at. I think most of you guys would agree. And the tours were 12 hours.
Yeah.
Because first of all, Staten Island is not an easy place to get to from anywhere. Getting to it from Manhattan was at least an hour 15-minute drive. And then working there was nasty. It was just really, the ground bubbled from the methane gas.
Yeah.
I was Billy,
Right?
I was just going to tell you, do you remember seeing the bubbles coming up from the ground?
Yeah.
I'd be looking at it, I'm like, what the hell is this, man? I mean, and guys weren't wearing masks. There were some guys that were like, oh, who cares about the mask and stuff.
That was the nutcases, you know.
But I remember the ground bubbling and stuff. It was
horrible. You can actually smell the flesh. It's actually like burnt flesh. Like if you've ever been, you can actually smell it.
It was horrible. I mean, I know
I remember,
dealt with it, but
I remember they were shooting off flares. They were shooting off flare guns to stop the seagulls from coming in and eating the flesh that was on the.
Yep.
Yep.
Someone in the chat named April Bowers asked, was DNA ever found? Yes, it was found. And some fully intact bodies were actually found. Because once this became a recovery, large chunks of steel would be put on a barge and floated downriver to Fresh Kills. This was a massive, massive undertaking that apparently came in under budget because Chief Jimmy Luongo, who at the time was an inspector, he was the commanding officer of Fresh Kills. And it was a massive, massive undertaking. And I mean, I did it numerous times, but I didn't like doing it. I'll put it that way. I don't think anyone liked it. Some people actually volunteered to get the 4 hours overtime. I was like, that is real. That is real blood money. Right?
You're finding fingers. You're finding a lot of IDs.
Yeah.
You find a finger with a wedding ring on it. So.
Yeah, no, it was. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I remember, and I'm sorry, I kind of mentioned this before. I remember finding a kid's toy. I mean, why was a kid's toy there? Because you know what? He must have visited his parents in the or his father or mother in the towers. Maybe not that day, but I think you're following what I'm saying. I mean, but I found a toy and I almost took it with me, but I was like, nah, I didn't feel right with it. I remember it was, and you're gonna laugh, but it was a wrestling toy. It was a wrestling figure, like, you know, from back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, man. I mean, you know, it was, I'll tell you, man, that was that was. I mean, I know we're all doing good, but that was emotional shit back then, man.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, we're here. God bless us, man. That I mean, that we're not. None of us are sick as far as we know.
Right. In the on the screen, I have retired Inspector
Yeah.
Joe Reek. He
Yeah.
makes a comment. The mayor wanted it cleared fast. Saddest part is the US EPA saying the air was safe. That was the biggest lie I think ever told in the history of politics.
Yeah, and
That-
The lady
anybody.
from New Jersey.
I mean,
Go ahead, Billy.
I don't mean this. Anybody. I don't mean to sound. Anybody with half a brain knew that air wasn't safe with all that stuff flying through it.
Exactly, brother Hicks.
It was Christine Todd Whitman.
Thank
said
you.
that.
I
Exactly.
was just going to bring
Right.
that up.
You could see that air wasn't safe. All that stuff flying through the air.
Yep.
It's
I guess
funny.
they wanted to-
I was an SBA delegate, and the city fought. I mean, Bloomberg actually wasn't a big friend of the police. People may disagree with that, but he paid a law firm $650 an hour to fight the federal government not to give us the money. Because all the settlements he did do that. He was trying to prevent guys from getting money. And then, of course, we have in modern times, you have Jon Stewart, who went to Congress and embarrassed them into continuing the 9/11 fund. I don't know if you guys take.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys take medication in regards to the 9/11. I do, and I get it for free because it's from the 9/11 fund. But they wanted to cut those funds off,
and they did. They cut a lot of it.
They did, and Louis Alvarez was Louis Alvarez was.
I mean, yeah, I know.
He was the picture. I'm just going to show you a quick. I'm going to show you.
He was Diesel, and he ended up being this skinny green thing, man, and he died unnecessarily. I mean, but he went before Congress.
And in front of me, a nearly empty Congress. Sick and dying. They brought themselves down here to speak to no one. Shameful. It's an embarrassment to the country, and it is a stain on this institution. You should be ashamed of yourselves for those that aren't here, but you won't be. Because accountability doesn't appear to be something that occurs in this chamber. We don't want to be here. Lou doesn't want to be here. None of these people want to be here. But they are, and they're not here for themselves. They're here to continue fighting for what's right. Lou's going to go back for his 69th chemo. The great Ray Pfeiffer would come down here, his body riddled with cancer and pain, where he couldn't walk. And the disrespect shown to him and to the other lobbyists on this bill is utterly unacceptable. I used to get, I would be so angry at the latest injustice that's done to these men and women. And, another business card thrown our way as a way of shooing us away. Like children trick-or-treating, rather than the heroes that they are and will always be. Ray would say, calm down, John, calm down. I got all the cards I need. And he would tap his pocket. Where he kept the prayer cards. 343 firefighters. The official FDNY response time to 9/11 was 5 seconds. 5 seconds. That's how long it took for FDNY, for NYPD, for Port Authority, for EMS to respond to an urgent need from the public. 5 seconds. Hundreds died in an instant. Thousands more poured in to continue to fight for their brothers and sisters. Breathing problems started almost immediately. They were told they weren't sick, they were crazy. Then, as the illnesses got worse, things became more apparent. Well, okay, you're sick, but it's not from the pile. Then, when the science became irrefutable, okay, it's the pile. This is a New York issue. I don't know if we have the money. I'm sorry if I sound angry and undiplomatic, but I'm angry. And you should be too. And they're all angry as well. And they have every justification to be that way. There is not a person here, there is not an empty chair on that stage that didn't tweet out, never forget the heroes of 9/11. Never forget their bravery. Never forget what they did, what they gave to this country. Well, here they are. And where are they? And it would be one thing if their callous indifference and rank hypocrisy were benign, but it's not. Your indifference cost these men and women their most valuable commodity, time.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, thank God he stood up for everybody because they weren't going to re-up the money.
Yeah.
These politicians are so sickening, and Republicans and Democrats, they weren't going to re-up the money, and it took a celebrity to go in there and fight for them, and it's amazing he got it reversed.
Yeah.
He shamed them.
Right.
He shamed them into voting for it.
Billy, give also a lot of credit. I mean, and I know you do, but I'm just bringing this up to Louis Alvarez.
Yeah.
He spoke before then, and you saw this man that was at one time this diesel tough kid, and the way he looked when he passed away. I mean, between Stewart, but Alvarez, I mean, that was heart-wrenching and the truth.
Yeah.
And the guy who actually started in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, someone asked, Crime Ghost, thanks for the $7.99 super chat. Are you guys glad they didn't rebuild the Twin Towers? I wish they would have. I think it just shows American ingenuity and American balls that were not afraid. But there was such politics in rebuilding it that, obviously it took a lot of years to rebuild, but the whole design was infused with politics. But I don't know. Would anyone want to go in a 110-story building again? I don't know.
Not me.
Yeah, they go. I think they should have rebuilt them and made them the tallest buildings in the world.
Yeah, I agree. You
Nice.
know, it's because but there's such politics with this. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but the 20th anniversary, of course, is 9/11 of this year, and they're not letting first responders that responded then attend.
I know.
I find that so outrageous
Yeah, why is that?
Disgusting.
because politicians want to control the narrative, and they can blame it on. They could say, "Oh, it's COVID." No, it's not.
Right.
They tried to stop the lights last year. And I remember the SBA and the PBA and a lot of the unions got together and goes, "No, you're not stopping it." And that was old Andy Cuomo, who now is looking for a job. But these folks, I cannot believe they would not allow first responders to go to the memorial. It's 20-year anniversary of this.
It's tremendous. Every year was tremendous, but 20 years. I mean, we all understand that 20 years is 20 years. That's a lifetime in the police department.
Yes.
But the point is, you're going to actually, you have the balls to say that to people, especially to the first responders, to the New York City Police Department.
And so many of my friends,
Go ahead, Z.
I see so many of my friends passed away of cancer or breathing. At least over 20, I know. Even one of my best friends in my office, he recently had a big surgery because he had cancer. God bless. Right now, he's doing better now. He's eating healthier. I mean, he always eat healthy. He's strong as an ox, but he's taking care of himself now because he had cancer from 9/11.
Yeah.
So God bless him.
A lot of the guys that took the brunt of this, obviously, a lot of the fire department guys were there, and they were so emotionally connected that they didn't want to leave there because they were recovering their brothers. But also ESU was down there for months and months,
right.
and
Lost a lot of guys.
the morgue people, Taru, some of those people, and they have the long-term health problems.
Billy, I wanted to tell you, I just want to give a shout out.
Sure.
John Coughlin, who was a sergeant in ESU, was killed that day. And he was a very good friend of mine. I mean, very good. And
here he is, Jimmy, on the upper left.
Oh, yeah, there he is, man. The upper left. I mean,
upper left, yeah.
He was a doll of a person, a monster, like he could break your neck, but he was the sweetest man that you could ever meet. And he got killed that day. And when we got back to the precinct that night, I got a call saying that he got killed.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember that too, Jim.
I was crushed, and to this day, it still bothers me because he was a hell of a guy, man, a damn good cop, and a great friend, and that broke my heart.
Yeah.
I mean, along with there was another almost 3,000 people that were killed, but personally, I had a friend that I lost a friend that day.
100%. Duty Ron, he's a retired detective. He says his Sergeant Pete Orbach is going under the knife on September 14th, fighting stage 4 World Trade Center cancer.
Wow.
Duty Ron, there's a million stories. There's a lot of sick people, a lot of people that have already died from it. And I always feel that we, being first responders, have that thing hanging over our head that it could happen to us too.
Yeah.
And so far we're healthy, but
so far so good.
Yeah. But it could happen. And as I said, one of the reasons I wanted to get together with you guys is because to me, this is, an amazing job like the police department, where some of us are on it close to 30 years, 25 years, 27, 20. It's like there's no other job really like that. And you meet people at the beginning of your career, you meet some of them at the end of your career, and then you keep meeting them after you retire.
Yeah.
Hey, weren't you on the job? And there's this camaraderie and there's this brotherhood. And not just with the NYPD. You can go anywhere in the world and say, hey, I'm retired from the job. And they're going to go out of their way to help you,
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is an amazing brotherhood. And,
Exactly.
this thing where we have, that we have this horrendous incident that bond us 20 years later. And as I said, I'm so happy that all of us are still alive, and a lot of people from the 2-3 precincts survived this too.
Listen, you guys,
All cops.
I mean, we're prior to 9/11 and after 9/11, great family to me. I mean, sometimes we don't talk for a long time, but when we get together,
like it was yesterday.
it was
That's
like
right, man.
yesterday,
Yep.
exactly. And
NYPD's
I will never ever forget you guys and the people that I met on the job. I mean, the greatest. It was a great job. I mean, it's a shame what this turned into, but
we met friends for life.
Yeah,
and all cops who was down there that day or the 6 months after, please get checked at least once a year, at least twice a year, because you never know. I get checked twice a year.
Yes.
Because you never know. I lost a lot of friends, and I get twice a year. So whoever was on there, please get checked.
Yes.
Yeah, Z, that's some really profound advice. I've been going to the Mount Sinai thing since it started, and
Very good.
I go in fact, I got to go again this September. But, things can creep up, and the earlier you catch things, the better off you'll be.
Detection is everything, man. Listen,
100%.
It's free.
Right, exactly. Thanks to John Stewart and Alvarez, it's free. Right.
And you can do it at any time you want, man. I mean, there's guys that I know that still haven't gone, but do it. It's worth it. A couple of hours, I mean, one day, I mean, 2 hours. Who cares, man? Do it, man.
It was funny.
For for any other reason, but for your health and your family and listen, you deserve it.
Jimmy, it was fun, some levity, when I used to go to the World Trade Center thing where they'd say, would you like to see the psychologist? And I would say, no, I don't think I need the psychologist. Well, they say, well, the psychologist is a little concerned that you drink like 2 bottles of wine a week. And I was like, tell her not to worry about it, because I sure as hell aren't worried about it.
Listen, I do the shrink thing. I do it all. It's all worth it. I mean, to each his own. Everybody knows what they're feeling. Listen, it's worth it. You don't have to do it. You don't like it, you could step off. Take advantage of the little things that at least they give us now, because it's healthy for you physically and mentally.
100%. Joshua, thanks for the $5 super chat. Folks, one of the things we just wanted to get out there too, and Billy Hicks had mentioned it earlier, for at least probably a month after the World Trade Center incident, police and fire department were the heroes of the world. And at some point, it got back to treating us how we were used to being treated, Yeah, and, I always remember, it seemed like crime it just sort of disappeared after that.
Disappeared. Nobody was
right. No one was taking any reports for it anyway. And then I remember December 1st, 2001, we had 4 murders in the 2-3 precinct, and that woke us up out of the post 9/11 back to crime fighting.
Yeah,
you guys remember that day?
It was like there's nothing going on. Everybody was nice. I remember pulling up in front of the 2-3. There was people in front of there from the projects across the street clapping and
I mean, giving you things. I mean, giving you like gifts. I mean, it was like, I'm not going to mention certain names, but some people took all this like stuff that was like, a great pair of boots, and
Detective, I won't mention his name either. But folks, what? Go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, one part of policing, even in the most horrendous things you see, is we try to keep our sense of humor. And in the 2-3 Detective Squad, I had some of the best laughs I had anywhere in my life.
Absolutely.
And like just every day was, and part of it is the camaraderie of ball breaking. Cops are geniuses at busting balls. And, if they ever took that away from us, the job wouldn't be as fun,
Yeah.
And everyone knows what little thing they can get the other guy with, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't like when you say that, like, come on, go get me some pasta fazool or something, things like that. And everyone knew how to get the other guy, but it was all in good fun. And that's what made the time go by fast.
Yeah. 2-3 was a good house. There's no one in the 2-3 that I can say I dislike from the time I was there.
What's that?
I said there was no one in the 2-3 that I could truly say I dislike. No one. I liked everybody in the command.
Yeah.
Everybody in the
Yeah,
squad
great
was
times.
nice.
Anybody who was it that
Excuse me one
didn't work
second.
out had a cup of
Lord, I got to
coffee
call you
and
back
they
in about 5
slept.
minutes.
But the rest
All
of us, you, and you, and another 10 guys that were the great family, the greatest guys in the world, the
That's
best
a-
squad
absolute-
in the world, man.
Yeah,
It's
we had-
absolute. I always thought the 2-3 squad was when I had the rip there. It was one of the best rips in the city. Then when I slid across the hall, a slimy slid across the hall. It was just the squad was one of the best squads in the
Yeah.
city. You know, guys, we're at an hour and 5 minutes, so I'm going to give everyone a last remarks, and then we could say goodnight to everybody. Billy Hicks, got any last remarks on this 20-year anniversary of 9/11?
Well, it was good seeing you guys, and God willing, hopefully we'll be around for another 20th anniversary.
We hope so. That's for sure. Z,
Same thing. Same thing. Hope another 20 years. And please, guys, just get checked out. That's it. Go to the doctor.
that's some great advice. Jimmy Z,
Thank you for your time. Thank you, you guys. I still love you, and I have to really piss. So
Wait, I
sure.
got one thing to say to you, Jimmy, before you go.
what?
Where'd you get that shirt?
Oh, I was at a party tonight.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, no,
All right, folks.
You know who? Well, I'll tell you another time, brother.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, someone in the chat says Lee Pachter didn't have a weight problem; he had a height problem. That's a pretty damn good joke, you know. That's pretty funny if you know Lee and Lee Pachter.
A good guy.
He's a great guy, but
Yeah.
a big jokester himself. He would probably find that funny himself.
Yeah, Lee Pachter was a good guy.
So, folks, everyone listening tonight, everyone out there, it was a 9/11 responder. Thank you so much for listening, and all you guys. God bless you, and I'm so happy that you came on the show tonight.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you. Anytime you
I
need
love
us,
you
just
guys.
call.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
right.
I'm
Good
Bill
night.
Cannon from Police Off the Cuff. Everyone, good night and be safe.
night.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
Peace.